So let me ask this. So you're kind of doing your bit for King and Country in this one course to try to right the ship. Say you had a blank slate
Mhm.
for your curriculum to generate specifically structural engineers. What would it look like?
What would it look like? It would have a lot more technical writing in it. it I mean, there's enough time within a 4-year degree to get to get a structural engineering degree. There's not enough time to get a civil engineering degree and be an effective structural engineer in 4 years because you have to take all the other branches within civil engineering. It would take a lot more creative writing, uh, more of the softer side of things. I would also uh, get them out into the field quite a bit. When I was in college, all of my professors had uh, their own firms on the side, and this was at Penn State in the mid to late '80s. And we can walk around and say, "Oh, my steel professor designed the structure for this building. Oh, my plumbing professor designed the plumbing for that building." And we could walk around campus and they all designed it. And we would go to construction sites. There was a big building boom then. And I can remember looking at a post-tension concrete structure and asking my professor, why are all the strands, why is all the rebar green? I thought rebar was black. And he says, that's epoxy coated. I'm like, what's epoxy coated? Why would you do that? So we got to see that. Uh, the one professor belonged to a church that was just on the street fronting campus, and it
Okay.
burned. And they were doing everything to save the facade because of setback laws. Right? The facade more or less came to the city sidewalk. If the facade goes down, you're got to come back 10 feet, and now you got to provide 120 parking spaces, which is about the footprint of the church itself. And we're walking through this, and you know, we didn't go out, but you could see where the floors had drooped.
Okay.
We weren't going out on the floor itself, but we were in the building, walking around, looking at it, asking questions, those kind of things. And they all had their own practices, and we could always go to a construction site. And one of the courses that I taught in the School of Architecture was called a construction industry seminar,
Okay.
where the first 5 weeks was here's what prevailing wages means, here's what a specifications and contract documents and addendas and stuff like that. And then the last 10 weeks it was just different people coming in. I had a forensic engineer come in and talk about forensics,
Okay.
failure, stuff like that. I had a professional liability insurance salesman come in and talk about that. I had a pit bull lawyer come in
Sure.
and talk. Had principals from large firms, small firms, and we're in between to get them exposed to things. I would like to see the engineering curriculum be less calculations intensive and a little bit more intuitive. And I don't know how to. I don't know. I'm not sure I know how to grade that because there's so much gray area in there that I just don't have the backbone to try it and say, you're an idiot. You don't deserve the A. I don't care if you're paying $50,000 a year.
Right. But I'm of the same mindset, right? Like, the let's omit the big problem for a second. The grading issue. The ability to make decisions and develop a gut, but you know what the limitations of your gut are, so you know when to not make an improper, hasty decision. That skill set is it's almost everything in the gig. It's like your job is almost, if I'm could be on my soapbox, just to take responsibility for the structure, whatever that means. So I'm riffing off your comment and how you do that. I'm not an educator. I've actually never taught a class, let alone a department, let alone a curriculum. But I'm not entirely sure why the first day of the school you're not just handed a thumb drive and said, here's every equation that you're ever going to need in this curriculum. You could have pulled it off Google. So now what do you want to do for the next 4 years?
Right.
You're bright, you're bright people. You can read these books just as well as anybody else. I didn't need to spoon feed it to you. Now what do you want to do?
Right.